Welcome once again to the Guy Who Knows a Guy podcast. I am your host, as always, Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy, and this is part of our Podapalooza special series. Our next guest here in the Podatorium is Kristina Jensen, and she's going to be talking about, and this is going to be a fun topic, the 3 biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make that cost them sales, because who doesn't like to hear about other people's mistakes and how to learn from them so we can stop making them? So,
That's
Kristina,
right.
welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's so good to be here because it's true. Everybody has a guy, right?
Mhm. Yep.
I live in a small town and there's a guy for everything.
Yep. It is true. I got a guy.
It's true.
That's
Yeah.
the whole idea there. But so I'd love to hear about these. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then let's talk about these mistakes, because mistakes are the best teacher, and other people's mistakes are the most affordable mistakes to be taught by.
Most affordable and the most fun, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the
My
most
mistakes
fun.
aren't fun. Their mistakes are fun.
Their mistakes are fun. Exactly. So I started out as a faith coach because I've been a pastor for 18 years. And my coaches started noticing that I was enrolling quite a few people. So they tapped me for their events and I started doing coaching zones. And fast forward, millions of dollars of revenue for coaches across like 15 different niches. I've learned a thing or two about sales. And so I'm here to guide entrepreneurs, coaches, course creators in how to make sales work for you, but leading with love instead of fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you really make authentic connections and lead a relationship first so that the sale is actually a byproduct? So Michael, I've learned these mistakes because I've personally made them,
Ooh, those are the best.
right? I've personally made them. So the first mistake is, I think the biggest is you make the conversation about you,
Ooh, okay, yep.
right? Instead of the person. And we do this in all sorts of unintentional ways. Usually it's trying to relate to the other person, right? So how many times in general conversation, think of this too, have you wanted to make the other person feel comfortable, right? It
Mhm.
usually comes from the good part of who we are and shared a story so that you can let the other person know that you understand from from the place they're coming from. Something better to do is ask another question,
Mm-hmm.
right? So instead of saying, "Oh, I can relate," and then going off on a rocket about yourself, ask them another question. Lead with curiosity rather than stories about yourself.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. And yeah, I mean, people. That's one of the things I've learned doing sales is
Yeah,
people love talking about themselves. They love
they do.
talking when given the chance, and the more they're talking, the less you are, the more they think they can trust you, and the more they think you know.
Yeah, because it's about creating a container of safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you create trust and rapport. So the way you create rapport is actually creating a space where you ask really, really, really good questions.
Hmm.
That's how you create rapport.
So,
It's not in shooting this, um, it's not in creating small talk.
yeah.
It's creating deep sense of trust and belonging with the person.
So
And
asking
then
questions,
if,
not telling
yeah,
stories.
asking questions, yeah. And if the person just starts to go off, the best way, Michael, to bring them back, I found, is to say their name at least like 3 times, like Michael, Michael, Michael. Got it. Got it. What you said is so important. I want to bring us back to the original reason that we're meeting. The purpose of the congregation, purpose of the conversation is, right? And then state why you're on the phone together
Hmm.
and then go forward.
I like that.
Works like a charm.
All right.
For any conversation, if you're at the mall and the person in front of you, well, you're not going to know their name, right? But just to really reframe any conversation to get control of the conversation so then you can go from there with grace. Just say their name a few times.
I like it. So what's the next mistake?
The next mistake that people make is not knowing what problem really needs to be solved.
Say more about that.
So there's three questions that really need to be asked on any sales call that should form the crux of any conversation. And the first question is the most important, right? When you get into the meat of the conversation. I keep wanting to say congregation. I guess it's because I'm also a pastor, right? So after you have a little bit of, like where are you zooming in from, and then establishing the boundaries and the expectations for the call, then you go into the meat of the call. The first question should be a question that asks something like, so, if I could give you any win on this call, what would it be? Or, tell me your greatest challenge when it comes to losing weight or when it comes to getting leads in your business. Something that helps to reveal what their need is in the given niche that you serve. So with this, you need to understand what they need and why. And there's a nuance here, Michael. It's what do they think they need
Mm-hmm.
and what do they really need, right? What do they think they need? What do they really need and why? And then furthermore, do they know the difference? And do they know that? And when you can see that, you're not going to immediately blurt it out. Well, you really need this. That's rude,
Yeah.
right? You're just going to make a note of it. And when you can, if you can, help them to see what they really need and give them an insight around that, that is transformational. That's transformational. But you need to answer that question. You need them to answer that question because you need to know the problem to be able to see ethically, are you the solution? Can you solve the true problem that they have?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Ethically. And once you answer that question, then you can go on to the next question, which is what do they really want? What do they feel they don't have in their life because they can't solve X problem, right? So for example, if somebody if somebody wants to lose weight, why do they want to lose weight? Is it because they want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro? Is it because they want to play with their grandkids because they really desire connection? Like, what do they want in their life and why? And then the third question that comes out of that is what do they feel is getting in their way? And but if you're solving the wrong problem in the call, you're not going to get the sale because it's not going to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And the three things you really need in order to make a sale are: one, you need to be relevant; two, you need to be clear. You need clarity. And three, you need to connect. But if you're doing all those things in the wrong area,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to waste your time and theirs.
So we need to be clear on what the problem is,
What the problem is,
what solving the problem will do for them,
yes,
and then why they can't solve the problem.
why they can't solve the problem. And usually with that question, Michael, I like to ask not simply is time and money getting in your way, but really, how are you getting in your own way?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when you can give people clarity around that, again, that's transformational.
Yeah.
And the purpose of the enrollment call, as I see it, or the sales call, whatever you want to call it, is getting people to say yes to themselves, getting people to say yes to what they want in their life and taking a step further to that. And when they say yes to that and can see what's blocking them and can commit to saying, yeah, I'm willing to work through that, the vehicle that you provide as your service or program, as the vehicle that will give them what they want, is the next logical step. So the sale is actually a byproduct of the transformation and the trust that you're creating with the person on the call. Because these conversations can be life-changing, but as long as you put the relationship first, right? As long as you get out of the way and you ask the right question. So that brings us to the third mistake, right?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, before we get there, I
Yes.
just wanted to comment on
Oh
these
yeah,
questions.
sure.
What I like about the structure, because one of the challenges, you
Yeah.
don't want to have a coaching call instead of a
No.
sales call.
Uh-uh.
But here, really what you're helping them do is
Yeah.
get their questions right. You're not helping get answers.
Totally.
That happens in the program.
Yeah.
But they say, what do you want? Well, I want to lose weight. What would that
Hmm.
do for you? Well, I really want to be able to play with my grandkids. Okay, so is it weight or is it healthier and have more energy? Oh, I guess I really want to have more energy.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you had more energy, what would that do? Well, I could play with my grandkids, and also I could finally start hiking, and then
Yes.
I wouldn't have to sleep 10 hours a night. And well, what's stopping you from doing that now?
Hmm.
And they're like, well, I don't know, I had this diet and I couldn't stick to it, and I hadn't, but that's not really it. Now I think about it, it's really, and and so you haven't actually given them any answers, but all three
No.
questions have been replaced with new questions, and now you're
Bingo.
like, okay, so the real question is that you want more energy so you can be more active, and you really don't have a strategy at all. You just have some things you've seen on Facebook. Yep.
Bingo.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is my problem. Can you
Yes.
help? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you want help with that?
Exactly. You're giving
Yeah.
them clarity.
Yep.
You're giving them clarity. That's it. So really it is a coaching conversation. And what you're doing is you're giving them incredible clarity, but the clarity that you give them gives them confidence
Hmm.
that now they can really see what's been going on, that it's solvable.
Yep. And they have clarity on the problem, and then the solutions come
Yes.
later. But
Yeah.
even if they don't buy, clarity on the problem
Hmm.
can still change their life.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So it's a
But
great value.
yeah.
So and if I may give a tip, the there's a amazing way that you can bridge, Michael, from those questions to your offer, which is really repeating back to them. So I want to make sure that I've heard everything correctly. So you're really struggling with XYZ. What you really want, is ABC, and you've been really stuck because, one, two, three. Is that right? Make sure you've got it right.
Hmm.
And then and they'll tell you if you don't. That's the part where you get to tweak. You get to get it, your story right, and they're helping you with that. And then when you've got that right, turn their turn their statement into a question. So are you ready to go from being frustrated and tired to having more connection than you've ever experienced with your grandchildren? And then when they say yes, right? Because you're getting crystal clear about the pain and the goal.
Okay.
You're distilling it into a crystal clear question for them after you're sure that you've got what they want. So it's very clear what they want, and they say yes. Then you say, I know I can help you. Because the two questions that people are really asking is one, can they help me? And two, can I trust them?
Hmm.
And if you've listened well and asked the right questions, you're demonstrating that you're with them in this, they can't trust you, because people usually don't take the time to set aside their agenda to really hear somebody out.
Yeah.
And when you tell your program or service, you relate every single point and feature to the pain and to the goal, to what they want. You take every single point and you say, the first thing we're going to do is this, which will help you with XYZ, so that you experience the blank, 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 that we talked about. You bring it back, right? You bring it back. So the conversation again is about them.
Yeah, that's really powerful. All
Yeah.
right. So, what's this third mistake then?
Okay. Third mistake, it's kind of like the first one and the second, in that just like you need to be solving the right problem, when you are wanting to handle the objection or respond to somebody says the money's the issue, you don't jump on it first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the biggest mistake here is that you need to make sure that you're actually responding to the right objection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because usually I'll just say what happens in my brain when somebody says, oh, I don't have the money for that. I immediately say liar, right? It's just an automatic response that I learned to say because what I know to be sure, to be true, is that when people hear the price, an automatic reflex goes, I can't do it. People, it's a reflex. It's a
Mm-hmm.
reflex. Like, when the doctor, taps on on a part of your leg and you're like just swings up, right? So what we have to do is walk them back from something I call red brain to green brain. Red brain that says that's just turned, the red light has gone on and they say,
Mm-hmm.
no way. You have to walk them through possibility, through yellow light of working through to red light, which says, okay, this could work. So the way you do that is that when somebody says money or time, or I have to think about it, or I might could do, I can't do it because XYZ is happening, or spouse. Those are the five major groups of objections.
Mm-hmm.
You ask them twice in a different way. And the first way you might say something like, if it was money, for example, so sounds like money is a big deal. So if it weren't for the money, would you be all in, or would there be something to cause you to hesitate? And you watch, Michael, not only for what they're saying, but for their physiological reaction. You're watching for their hesitation and you're listening for their words. And if you watch and see that there's something that is hesitation in their response, physical or verbal, you stop and say, seems like there's something causing you to hesitate. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Would, tell me about that. Just tell me about that, or tell me more about that is a great phrase. If they say no, it's just the money, and they're pretty strong in it, ask it again. So you're 100% in. It's just the money. So it's just a matter of moving money around. Is that right? And they're like, no, it's really the money. So then you can zero in on that one objection, or it's just the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that you want to do that then is there's a short process of first ask one, pump them for more information. Tell me more about that. Two, ask, is this the right program for you? And have them sell you on the specifics of why. Three, tell them why you made the issue of the invitation of how you can help them, saying the great benefit you see to them, and then two pain points and reminding them of their deep why. And four, invite them to brainstorm and say so it would look like something like this, the brainstorm piece. So Michael, um, I'm not sure if it would be possible now for you to start or not, but I wonder, would you be open to brainstorming if there would be any way that we could start to, now or down the road, um, by looking, just having an honest and open conversation about money and looking and seeing if there was a way that we could put our heads together and get you started. Would you be open to? And then that's how you can move somebody into conversation
Mm-hmm.
that can lead to the possibility. And you can use that for any objection. And I prefer that method, Michael, because frankly, who has time to memorize 17,000 different scripts?
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me when I used to sell cars,
Yeah.
one of the things, the objection is always money with cars.
Yeah.
It could be, and half the time, and so if I did my job right, then when we got to the money objection, it actually was. But
Yeah.
oftentimes it wasn't. It was they really
Totally.
wanted a black car, and the one we had in the lot was a white car, and they don't
Ah,
really love the white car. And
right.
so
Exactly.
and then the money basically makes it real. So it's like you
Totally.
could deal with a white car. Well, that's going to be $397 a month. Whoa, wait, money means I'm actually buying that car. I don't want a white car.
Yeah.
But what they say
Yeah.
is, no, that's too much. Because there's probably a number, I
Exactly.
don't know, $50 a month where they'd buy a white car. But
Right.
so and I learned to when they said it's too much, I would always go straight to, if hypothetically I could make this car $50 a month, would you buy it? And half the time they'd be like, actually, no. Um, or
Exactly.
because they're like, all right, well, throw this one away. This is not the right car. Let's start over.
Yeah,
Get the right
exactly.
car. Yeah, because otherwise,
100%.
and I watch so many salespeople get fall for it and be like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
let me talk to the manager and see what else we can do. And they'd spend an hour going back and forth. They'd whittle it
Oh
down
yeah,
to
it's
350,
total
give
waste
away
of
all the
time.
profit,
Yeah,
and then it's the wrong car. They'd switch to a different car at the same price, and they'd get $40 for their time. But it's rarely, and of course you all see this whenever your customer says, oh no, I don't have $1,000 for your program, and then a week later, well, I just bought this other program for $9,000. Really? I
exactly.
thought you didn't
Yep.
have money.
Yeah, or I thought you weren't interested. I thought you didn't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you had agreed with your spouse that you were never going to buy another program.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yep. And that's a great reminder that, like, nope, that is probably not the case. The old smokescreen. All
exactly.
right.
Yeah, it's just the most convenient um reason they have to tell you at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, they're just trying to get out. They're like, oh, if I
Yeah,
say it's too expensive, I can run away.
exactly.
Yeah. So no, those are, three great mistakes, and those three questions are very powerful. Taking them down that process and leading them through it is huge. So this has been some really good stuff. 3 mistakes, 3 great questions. So if people want to connect with you further and learn more of your wisdom, then where can they find it?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So you can always connect on Instagram. So it's Kristina with a K and then Lee, Lee, Jensen, Jensen. So that's my handle, Kristina Lee Jensen on Instagram. Lots of great short reels with tips, tricks, and I'll put information. I have a quiz too. Your grade that tells people how to sell based on their greatest strength, on their personality, and I'll put a link there on my Instagram profile for that.
All right, fantastic. So it's Kristina Lee Jensen on Instagram. People can find you there. And hopefully you'll be on one of my summits coming up soon too, as well. We're talking about that.
Yes, absolutely. The Kingdom Entrepreneur. I
Yep.
can't wait for that. It's gonna be
Yep.
great.
And hopefully this episode will be out before that summit happens. I think it should be.
Sounds good.
We're recording in June and the summit's in October, so we should be in good shape. But yep, so look for Kristina on Instagram and on my summits, and who knows where else? Wherever she wants to
Who
go.
knows where else?
Yeah, Kristina could be
Well,
anywhere.
this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me, Michael. And I can't wait to dig into to more of what you have to offer, and looking forward to being on the summit later this year.
Great. Look forward to seeing you there.